Coming up on this episode of DL Weekly, the Haunted Mansion is back with a few new surprises. The exterior of the mansion also has an update.
The year of the snake has kicked off with a new confection. Magic keys are back on sale. We finish our conversation with Ken, Bruce, and more. DL Weekly starts now.
Mika nala Krista. Blah. Hi. This is DL Weekly. Family. Good. You listen? Okay. Don't forget Ohana.
Well, hello and welcome to this episode of DL Weekly for the week of January 22nd, 2025. I'm Teg Bushman.
And I'm Community Manager Olivia Sands. We would like to thank everyone who supports the show. This week, we'd like to give a special shout out to Ryan G., Tammy C., Eric S., and Jenny D. If you would like to help support the show and get ad-free versions of each episode, access our supporter-only chat, and a bunch of other perks, head over to dlweekly.net/support to become an official weekly tier.
And just a program note, because the last two times Olivia has been on podcasts, I have not mentioned where Teresa is. Teresa is not being replaced. If you listen to last week's episode, Teresa is on the Disney Fantasy with producer Vern and Teresa's mom enjoying a cruise. She will be back next week. Olivia is just gracious enough to step in. She's a good Teresa stand-in. You know, somebody that has the bubbly personality and excitement of Disney that but me by myself I don't quite bring. But that's why Teresa's here. Now let's get to the news.
Extra, extra, read all about it. DL Weekly reports from intrepid correspondents Tag and Teresa. You heard it here first, ladies and gents. Breaking news!
The original version of the Haunted Mansion opened this week, and with it, a new bride has appeared. The new bride replaces the previous Constance Hatchaway bride at the end of the attic scene. The new bride appears to be floating above the ground, holding a candelabra instead of a hatchet, with the return of the beating heart effect. In addition to the new bride, her candelabra can now be seen in the endless hallway and inside a crypt in the graveyard scene. She is joined by a one-eyed cat, similar to the one-eyed cat that was installed previously in the loading area. Lighting and sound has also been upgraded throughout the entire attraction.
I know you both have reported on this previously, but when I saw this, the first person I thought of was Teresa and how much she would love this bride. It looks fantastic. The movement is so smooth. The lighting effects are amazing. This really feels like one of those things that it looks amazing in a video. And I know when you get into the mansion and see it in person, it's going to be 10 times as cool as we can see it on the internet.
Well, and what's interesting, this has been rumored now for the last couple months that this was coming with the return of the original version of the Haunted Mansion, which, mind you, has not been open for over a year because with all the queue work and stuff, it was Haunted Mansion Holiday. They did all the queue work and then it was Haunted Mansion Holiday again. So this is the first time we've had Standard Mansion for a while. I do think that this new bride definitely stacks up against the Hatbox Ghost, because that was one of the comments I saw a lot online, was that since the Hatbox Ghost was introduced to the attraction in, I think it was like 2016, that the previous bride that was there never quite like looked right, and then they did an updated version, but that wasn't great either. And so now we've got this one. I think it's really neat. It looks cool. Like you said, Olivia, I think seeing it in person is definitely going to be way cooler than any type of video. There's just those things that video just does not do justice. And I think this is one of those. What do you think about the addition of her candelabra kind of, I mean, the endless hallway had a candelabra kind of before, but now it's looks more like the one that she's holding. And in the graveyard scene, there's one now where there used to be kind of like a hooded figure is now this floating candelabra.
I like it because I think we have more of a storyline throughout the mansion, right? More focus on the bride. She makes more than just one appearance throughout, even if it's not her physical face and physical or quote physical body. I think it puts a good little nugget in for people and something that is different, something that is new. Again, something that just, I know it's a little counterintuitive, but adds some more light to a very dark attraction. And I like when I know the Haunted Mansion was down for a long time, or the original version was, but I like when they add these updates. If it's, I don't want to say just the bride, but just the bride, the candelabras, some new lighting, some new music. These aren't massive, massive changes, but it does really enhance, really pluses the ride. And for a very locals park, it gives people something to look forward to go on the attraction again, to experience it in a little bit of a new way.
Yeah. I'm glad that one of the things that we benefit from for it being closed for so long and being the other version for so long was we get this kind of cool, unexpected addition of kind of like a gift. Like, you guys were so patient, we'll give you a cool new bride that you can be excited about. So looking forward to seeing it.
An area above the newly finished extended queue of the Haunted Mansion has finally been completed. The cemetery on the hill has been unveiled from the scrim blocking the area before. New vegetation and tombstones dot the hill and add some great theming.
So this area, I want to say even before the mansion went down for any of this stuff, I feel like they were kind of working on it. One of the things that has stayed, which is important to some folks, is there's this cool tree that kind of is like laying on the fencing back there, and it looks, creepy and whatever. They were able to save that. That's still there, which is really nice. And they've kind of reinforced, I would say, the berm, because really it's the berm, that the train's going through. They've kind of reinforced that, kind of made it so it's not as, because before it seemed like there had been a lot of like erosion and stuff, and it didn't seem like it was all too sturdy, but this looks great. I love the plants. And just like when they did the upgrade, years ago now, I'm so old, when they added Galaxy's Edge and along the rivers, it seemed kind of sparse. But as nature happens, it looks so much cooler. And I think this is going to be an area that's going to look a lot cooler when nature's allowed to kind of grow in.
Yeah, and even the green just compared to the red of the brick and just the gray of the tombstones, it makes everything sort of pop. It's not just one dark, gloomy color. I think actually having some life in it makes the gloominess pop a little bit more. I love the tombstones. I can't read them on this photo, but I love to walk through the queue every time I look at them. I think they're so funny. I know they've got little puns on them. So I'm curious to see if these were ones that were already there or if the writing or the script on them is new, maybe some new jokes.
So I was able to find a more high quality one. There is a tombstone, which is a nod to Claude Coates. There's one that says, "Brother Claude, planted here beneath this sod," which I thought was funny. There's one that says, "Master Gracie, laid to rest, no mourning please at his request," which is kind of fun. Yeah. And then there's some other ones that I also can't read because like the tree and stuff's in the way, but always fun, nice and punny, as the Haunted Mansion was always meant to be.
Exactly.
Well, the Year of the Snake has kicked off this Lunar New Year festivity at Disney California Adventure. In addition to all the food that we spoke about last week, there is also a new Year of the Snake display in the lobby of the Grand Californian Hotel. A Mickey-shaped snake was cooked up by the culinary team at the resort to honor the holiday. It is made using 40 pounds of white chocolate, 30 pounds of fondant, 10 pounds of crisped rice cereal, also known as Rice Krispies, and 3 pounds of marshmallows. That is a lot of fondant. I don't know about you, Olivia, but I am not a fondant fan.
I am not either, but this snake cooking sculpture is phenomenal. The textures are beautiful. The shades of green are amazing. It's in the shape of a hidden Mickey, which is awesome. I mean, between the last 18 months, the foodie guides, the gingerbread houses, these sculptures, this culinary team at Disneyland, I feel like has just been home run after home run after home run. So Lunar New Year is something I've never experienced. We tend to go to the park around the winter holidays in December, so we don't generally make it back out in January. But I think, again, between this and the fantastic food we've been hearing about at the booths, that Lunar New Year is quickly rising to the top of my must-do list at Disneyland.
I'm really sad that I wasn't able to go experience it this year because I do want to say that there was a period, maybe of a couple days or so, that I was able to experience Lunar New Year in the past. I could be wrong. I just feel like I remember it. Maybe it's just I've seen so much news over the years of it that I feel like I was there. But it is definitely a strong contender for some amazing stuff. And with my trip at the end of February, I'm just going to be missing a lot of the food stuff that looks amazing. I've already heard rave reviews from people about the different food and stuff that is there for this celebration that we talked about last week. But also, you're talking about this confectionery thing, which looks amazing. I didn't even think about this until, as I was writing the story, didn't even cross my mind. Listening to you and staring at this is kind of a feat because there's not a lot of support on this thing. So the fact that it is there and not sagging, and it's in the shape of the Mickey and stuff. Just amazing. Just amazing. And yes, you're right. The culinary team, they deserve every credit you can give them.
Well, and I love too, we have something like this is something I would actively seek out if I were there. I always really appreciate, a lot of people come in and they've got maybe a half day on either end, or they've got a later flight on the last day and they want to spend some time in downtown Disney. This is something that you want to go see, right? It's not just something like, oh, we've got a couple hours to kill. What are we going to do? I think people will, if they know it's here, actively make an effort to go see it. And I love that they do that. It is that time again when Magic Keys are back on sale for a limited time. By the time you hear this, they will already be on sale, and we recommend that you act fast since the last time Magic Keys went on sale, sales were paused after less than 6 days.
So this is such a sad situation because Teresa and I, back in September, is when our keys expire. And we knew we weren't going to have another trip. We knew we weren't going to go for the holidays. We knew it wasn't going to be probably till May, maybe late April. That would be the first opportunity for us to get back to the parks, which is kind of a long time of a key, but we didn't know when they were going to go on sale again. Well, since we renewed in September, this is the second time the keys have gone on sale, but they go quick. So they kind of have made it difficult, right, to buy this because they've made a lot of money off of us because we will probably just barely get our value out, like our break even of if we would have just bought day tickets as opposed to the key for this Magic Key year for us from September to September. So I don't know, by not having these things available all the time, it's hard for people to plan if they want to have it. Usually it's not a problem for us, but this year it just happened to go that way. So I don't know. If anybody wants a key, I get one when you can. Who knows when they're going to go on sale again? It could be as soon as a couple months from now. It could be 6 months from now. It could be a year from now. We just don't know. But you do get some cool perks with it and discounts. So it could be worth it if you spend a lot, I suppose.
And I understand from a business, right, from not a fan perspective, from a business perspective, the scarcity mindset, because when they were always on sale, like you said, Tag, you would just, let them lapse, kind of buy when you want. Do we want one? Do we not? And now when they do these limited drops and they're inconsistent, I think people definitely feel the pressure a little bit more. And I mean, I was even shocked last time when it was on sale for 5 or 6 days. I remember when they first came back, I think it was after COVID, or maybe it was 1 or 2 drops after COVID, January 2023. I had 3 devices going. They sold out within 4 hours. But it is that scarcity mindset of we don't know when we're going to get this again. Do we want it? Do we not? I was talking with a friend. I mean, they go on sale today when you're listening to this, and we're kind of up in the air about it, but it's like, we don't know when they're going to go on sale again. So do we just buy one? Do we wait? But I think that not knowing actually pushes people in the direction of buying them, which is obviously good for Disney, maybe a little less ideal for fans.
Yeah. And the other thing too, that it's one of those things, right? Like you got to look at like what level of key even, right? Because you can renew or whatever, but then it's like what level? Because like for us last year, we did a lot of summer stuff, and this year I think we're going to do some summer stuff too. So we had to go up a level of key, which I want to let everybody know that when you renew, if key sales are not open, when it is your turn to renew, you can upgrade or downgrade. Like you don't have to stay at the same key level. I feel like with the annual passes before, when it came up, you had to kind of stay in the same annual pass holder level you were at before. But this one, you do get to like go back and forth between the different options depending on how you want to do that. But also, I highly recommend that people kind of budget it out and say, okay, if we're going to go this year X amount of days, how much would those tickets cost at face value? And then how much is the Magic Key? Now, what makes this difficult, again, like I said, is all of the things that you get as a key holder. So one of the nice things that we get at the level we're at is we get PhotoPass included. Now, PhotoPass can be pretty expensive, purchased separately, or you have to do it with Genie Plus or Lightning Lane or whatever. And so it depends on if you want to spend that. Also, the discount of 10, 15, 20%, depending on your level, also adds up if you're buying a lot of food. If you're going 10 days throughout the year and you're buying breakfast, lunch, and dinner at the park, and you're buying merchandise and all of that, even though your per day ticket might not end up being a good value, it may end up being a good value if you're going to buy stuff, like adding that discount in there. One of these years, Teresa and I talked about it, that one of these years we should keep track of everything that we spend at the park for that whole year and determine how much did we actually save having a magic key versus if we just paid out of pocket without a discount. And we actually stack our discounts because not only do we have Magic Key, but sometimes there's Disney Plus discounts, sometimes there's Disney Visa card discounts. And even if you get the Magic Key discount, we pay and we get the Disney dollars, back with the Disney Visa card. So we kind of get a little bit more even there, and that's even harder to calculate. But yeah, so think about those. There's a lot to think about when all of those things come into play when you're trying to do it. But don't do like we did. Don't panic buy. But, that was the other thing I was going to say. There was something I was going for, and I had lost my train of thought, is, like you said, it makes people kind of panic buy. This, I think, is the same problem we run into now with reservations, is I think a lot of key holders make reservations that they don't necessarily know that they're going to go to the park that day, but they want to, save that date in case they want to go, and then they cancel last minute. So I feel like there's a lot of FOMO that happens that people prepare for, which maybe it's a better deal to just not and just, I don't know. It's tough. It's hard to say. As somebody who lives out of state, I book my reservations months in advance because I know months in advance when I'm going to go. When I lived in Northern California, if we had reservations now, I think it'd be a lot harder. So I don't know.
Absolutely. And I know we've heard that feedback from a lot of Magic Key holders who live in the area, that it is tough to get reservations. But, like you said, people just say, oh, we'll go at some point, maybe this week, we'll book out the days, we'll cancel as we go. Obviously, we don't know on the back end how good Disney is about updating or if they have to hit a certain number of cancellations before they open up and things like that. So, I think unfortunately, 4 years later, we're still working out the reservation calendar, which is kind of a bummer. But if you are interested in purchasing a Magic Key, on the Disneyland website, they actually have this really nice compare Magic Key passes graph. Breaks down price, what the monthly payment would be, how many visits it would cost, what's included, the discounts, things like that. So if you want a key or you're thinking about a key, but you're not quite sure what level you want, there's a really great graph to look at to be able to compare, kind of figure out for yourself, is this going to take 9 visits to pay off, 11 visits? How many times am I going this year? Things like that.
And it really matters if you live in California, because if you live in California, you can do the monthly payment plan, so you don't have to fork up all the money right away. So it's tough. It's tough. Something that's not tough is one of our favorite places to eat. In downtown Disney, the foundation has started to come together for the new and hopefully final location for Earl of Sandwich. No timeline has been posted on when construction will wrap up, but the sooner, the better.
So I'm trying to be better about venturing out for foods and not just running to my favorites every time. And I know Tag, you and Teresa really love Earl of Sandwich. So I tried it for the first time in December. I thought it was a really great quick service option. We had an extra day to spend at downtown Disney. We had, I think, an 8 p.m. flight. So we kind of wanted to explore. We didn't really want to do a full sit down option. So even though Earl of Sandwich is just at their super cute little food cart right now, it was a perfect walk up. We got our sandwiches within 5 minutes, I think. So perfect casual day, little less expensive meal. I do feel so bad for them on how many times that they have had to change locations. I feel like they're getting whiplash, fans are getting whiplash. And, if you don't look into Disney news as much as we do, and you think Earl of Sandwich is in place A, but it's in place B, you may not go actively seek it out because you think it's gone. So I'm really excited that finally they've broken ground on this. It does seem like things in downtown Disney are popping up fairly quickly. So hopefully they can make some good progress on this and finally give Earl of Sandwich the home it deserves.
And it's one of the better affordable options in downtown Disney, because a lot of the stuff, even the new stuff they've added, is a little pricier. So if you're a family, Earl is a great deal. The sandwich is good. It's a decent size. It tastes good. They put a lot of toppings on it. I feel like of all the places I've eaten sandwiches, so Quiznos, Subway, Jersey Mike's, Herbert's and Gerbert's, Jimmy John's, the consistency can be iffy, but I feel like I've always had a consistent experience at Earl of Sandwich. What did you get at Earl of Sandwich? Because I know you have dietary things and a lot of meat is in their menu.
Yeah, that was my one. Here's where I'll give them some grace. So I don't eat meat. It's a little hard to do a vegetarian sandwich. There's only so many ways you can put vegetables on bread. So I'll give them that. But I had a great caprese type of panini. It had, I think, mozzarella and pesto and balsamic and tomato and basil. So that was super yummy. If you are a vegetarian or looking for a meatless option, I would highly recommend that. And then I know they had a couple sandwiches. I'm sorry, not sandwiches, salads. I'm not sure if the salads had meat on them, but that seems like something too that you could probably ask to have taken off if you didn't want it on there.
Yeah. Teresa is not a vegetarian, but she does like vegetarian stuff, and she always gets the caprese sandwich, and she loves it. I always go with the Italian, which is kind of the sandwich I get everywhere. It's got salami and capicola and ham and pepperoni and mozzarella and tomato and seasoning, and they warm it. And that's what I like about it too, is they're like toasted sandwiches. And that's one of the things I liked about Quiznos back in the day, was the toasted aspect of the sandwich instead of just like a cold sandwich.
Do they do breakfast sandwiches too?
They do. I was just looking at their menu on the website, and they do some breakfast sandwiches. I haven't done them for breakfast, but it does look like they do have those breakfast sandwiches. So,
well, and just the placement, it's at the edge of downtown Disney. So if you're wanting to take the monorail in the park and you're staying at the Disneyland Hotel, or I don't know, somewhere in there, and you're coming in through that other downtown Disney entrance, it's probably a great place to grab a breakfast meal. You could grab a coffee from Sip and Savor, which is right next door, and hop on the monorail and head into the parks and avoid some of the longer Starbucks lines that are usually there in the morning.
Except for right now, when there's no monorail. And I'm very sad because when I go, there's not going to be a monorail. There's not going to be a train. There's not going to be the Jolly Holiday. There's a lot of things that I really love about the park that won't be there in February, but that's okay. I know they need maintenance, right?
New things to explore, hopefully. This Friday, January 24th, is Anaheim Ducks Day at Disney California Adventure in downtown Disney. Inside the park, a cavalcade appearances by select Anaheim Ducks players, themed games, and more will take place. In downtown Disney, there will be an overtime fan zone with entertainment, activities, and photo ops.
So are you a Ducks person? Are you a hockey I'm not at all.
I am not a hockey person. I really try, but it's a little violent for me personally.
We have a good friend that likes hockey, not the Ducks, but she's a huge hockey fan. She has like a season pass to her team or whatever, and her and her husband love to watch it and all this stuff. Every year we report on Anaheim Ducks Day, and they always have like kind of the same kind of stuff. And if you're into hockey and you're into the Ducks, it's a great experience for everybody, but they're kind of just doing the same thing they do every year. We just want to let people know that January 24th, this Friday, if you're listening to it when this episode drops. Otherwise, you may have missed it already. Anaheim Ducks Day. So go enjoy that.
It'd be a fun event, if you're local and want to do something different. Even if you like sports in general, sometimes it brings a little bit of a different crowd. And if you really want to do a random Disneyland deep dive, there's a lot of history between Disney and this team. And obviously D23 was at the Honda Center where the Ducks play. So a lot of partnerships and a lot of areas with that team. So something different to make Friday a little extra fun in January.
Yeah. Well, new dinner menu items have appeared at the Red Rose Tavern in Fantasyland. 3 new folds, including a plant-based veggie Fantasyland fare fold with cauliflower, quinoa, arugula, hash browns, cheese, and a chili lime aioli for $13. The burger Fantasyland fold with seasoned ground beef, hash browns, cheese, white cheese sauce, and burger sauce for $14.99. And a spicy chicken Fantasyland fare fold with 4 chili spiced chicken patty, hash browns, cheese, white cheese sauce, and pickle aioli for $13.99. Also, a salted caramel butter cake sundae with vanilla ice cream, salted caramel, and pretzel sticks is available for lunch and dinner for $8.49.
I feel like I got overly excited about these folds, but these look super yummy. They look super awesome. Again, I love that we've got a veggie option that the flavors are a little funky, not in a bad way, just a little bit different. But again, as somebody who doesn't eat meat, I like it when places try to go out and add a little more punch. A chili lime aioli sounds delicious. The fantasy fold, the burger one, also looks good. Looks kind of just like a hamburger. It's got some melty cheese in there. These photos are beautiful. They're making me hungry. And then the spicy chicken one too with, a pickle aioli sounds so interesting. I would probably walk up and just ask if they would give me a side of pickle aioli to try.
What's so sad about this is Mice Chat, where I saw this. They seem very skeptical about this, and they don't think that these look appetizing, which is funny because your reaction was they look super appetizing, and my reaction when I saw them, I also thought they looked appetizing. So I'm not really sure if somebody's just not a fold person. Now, to be clear, these folds are basically like wraps, but they're flat. So if you've ever been to like Taco Bell and had like a crunch wrap, they're kind of like that. It looks like they're cooked in that way. They do look good. That veggie based one is popping with some color because the tortilla that it's in is like a green tortilla, and it just looks, I don't know if it would be a light meal, but it looks like it'd be like kind of light. And I will tell you, the chicken fold and the burger, those just look like greasy, just what you kind of want from those things. I don't know. I might try one of these. They could be interesting. I'm not as anti them as Mice Chat is, but the salted caramel butter cake sundae is definitely something on my list because I love pretzels. Salted caramel sounds great. A butter cake sounds great. Ice cream, it all sounds great. It all sounds
great. This would be, I think, another good grab and go option. You know, as somebody, I snack a lot in the park, whether that's my own snacks or wanting to grab something. I could definitely see myself grabbing one of these wraps and going to get in line and standing and eating it in line somewhere, which I appreciate too.
Have you had a pizza flop over in Toontown?
I have, and I did not love it. We had them when they first came out. Everybody was a big fan. I think you guys really enjoyed yours too. I don't know if because there was no meat in it, it was just like too much. Like the ratio maybe wasn't quite right. It just felt a little greasy to me, I guess, which I mean, I guess is like kind of how a pizza is, but it wasn't like the worst thing I ever had, but I would not actively seek it out again.
It could be right. I've only had the pepperoni one, and maybe the addition of the pepperoni, added a ratio that made it good. I love it. My problem with it is what you just said. It is a little greasy. It seems like it should be something that you should be able to eat and walk with, but it kind of isn't because of how messy it is. But, oh man, see, I just ate dinner before we recorded, and I am thinking about this pizza flop over now, and I am ready for it when we go next month. But again, there's so much good food. Like, do I really want to like use one of my things to do a pizza flop? I don't know. The good news is we are going with a teenager who can eat everything. So we could probably order everything we want to eat at Disneyland, and I can get a couple bites of each thing, and then he could eat the rest. So maybe we'll do that. I think that might be the way to go.
That is the best thing to do. We went with a group of, I think there were 6 or 7 of us in December. And that was actually my favorite part, is that everybody got to kind of pick their own snack, and it was like take a bite and pass it down. And so everybody got to purchase one thing, but we got to try 7 or 8 things at once.
That's nice.
Yeah, with the menu rotation, I think for a long time the food was a little stagnant, which wasn't good or bad, just kind of how it was. But now they're pretty consistently taking things off, putting things on, which is fun. But I think when you see something you want, you got to go out and try it because you don't know how long it'll be there for.
Yeah.
Guests staying at the Pixar Place Hotel starting in February will have a change to their pool plans. The Pixar Place pool deck will be under refurbishment starting February 3rd with no end date given at this time. The pools at the Disneyland Hotel will be available for Pixar Place guests to use during the closure. The pool deck will remain open for firework viewing on select nights. So
what I was confused about this piece of news was I feel like this just opened when the Pixar Place Hotel opened, which was about a year ago. But maybe this is one of those things kind of like Grizzly River Run where it's that time of year. They want to keep it fresh and, working and good and everything for all the guests. So it's going to be one of these like annual things. I mean, it's neat that they have 3 hotels that they can push people to. However, I don't think they ever really push people to the Grand Californian pool. It's always the Disneyland Hotel pool or the Pixar Place Hotel pool. So, but it's also like winter. Like if you're in California and you're staying at one of these, you may or may not be using the pool, depending. I feel like a lot of people. I was joking with Teresa last week because I watched a video with the Tim Tracker, and he lives in Florida, and they were at Magic Kingdom one morning. It was on my Instagram that I saw, and he was wearing this heavy winter coat, and I was like, he had just posted like an hour before, and so I asked our smart speaker, I said, what's the current temperature in Orlando, Florida? And it was like 62. And I'm like, yep, those Floridians who are used to the hot and humidity, when it's 62, you're in a heavy winter coat. But I think about that with Californians too, because a lot of us, especially when we go in February, it's so cold. I was just telling Olivia before we recorded, it is 6 degrees Fahrenheit right now, but the wind chill, feels like was -12. And so it's been like that for the last couple days. And so when we get there in February, I'm sure that even a 50-degree day in California is going to feel glorious.
We always joked about that growing up, given I don't think I would do that now. But, when we were teenagers, a little younger, we went, again, always in December around Christmas time. We were in shorts and tank tops, and it was probably 58 degrees and sunny. But coming from the Pacific Northwest, it felt like a really nice summer day. And we always joked you could tell who was from Southern California, Arizona, Florida, warmer climate, because they had puffy coats and Uggs on, and we were running around in shorts and tank tops. But yeah, it's a little confusing about the pool renovation. I just looked it up. It opened in January of 2024, so been open just about 1 year. You would think if it was a planned closure, there would be an end date though, which is the part that's a little bit surprising. Obviously too, it's a quote new hotel. I know it's not actually new, but newly themed. And you would think they would really be pushing guests to go there. And I know friends who have gone to the parks who have little kids. Little kids love the pool. I swear sometimes they like it just as much as Disneyland. So I think if I had a little kid or a younger kid and I knew they wanted to use the pool, this would definitely deter me from staying here. So I'm surprised that they didn't put an end date on it just to keep people booking out, in the future too.
That's a good point.
I up, down, touch the ground. I think of things to chew, like honey and milk and chocolate. With a hefty, happy appetite, I'm a hefty, happy poo. A rumbly in my tumbly means it's time for snacks.
Well, this week for Snack Chat, we're actually going to be talking about something that Olivia found, because I was just going to keep going around California Adventure, but she found Sweethearts Night food on Instagram, which tonight is one of the first nights, right? Well, tonight as we record this is the first Sweethearts Night after hours event for this year. There's quite a few of them, and the food looks pretty good. So what do we have here?
Yeah, I'm a little surprised. I couldn't remember last year if they did an official foodie guide. I think you all said last week or the week before you were waiting on one. So I was a little surprised when I opened my Instagram and this was just on the Disney Eats page. But the special items look amazing. So at Alien Pizza Planet, we have a Sweethearts prefix sampler featuring Brillia Love heart-shaped pasta. This looks like a pretty average pasta, but these noodles are so freaking cute. I would totally get it just to take a picture of the pasta.
So what's so funny, Teresa would laugh at me too. You're going to laugh at me. Everybody listening is going to laugh at me if they see this photo. So I did not look at the pasta. My brain just saw red pasta and just didn't even register, with these giant pieces of Parmesan shaving on top with an alien macaroon in the background. And I was like, I saw in somebody's comment talking about how cute the pasta was. And I'm like, what are they talking about? And I click, there's the next item that we'll talk about in a minute. And that item I thought was maybe what they talked about. And so I went back to the first picture and I was like, oh, it's like rigatoni noodles.
Yeah, rigatoni noodles.
But instead of being round, they're in the shape of a heart. I've never seen this before.
I
know it's
either.
stupid,
I
but
love them.
Wow.
I wonder if we could buy them in a store. I'm going to have to Google this after. They are so stinking cute. And like Tag said, they're a little bit thicker. Like when I think of a heart-shaped pasta, I think of like a Kraft mac and cheese shaped noodle, but these ones are a little bit longer. They look like they're maybe about an inch long. So they've got some good substance to them.
So I just Googled it. And at Barilla, however you pronounce the name of it, they have a limited edition heart-shaped pasta and heart pasta recipes. I don't know. Let's see. It originally launched in 2022 as the Barilla Love Pasta Kit, but it has become a fan favorite. So it is available again only for a short time and while supplies last. So I'm guessing this is something they maybe will bring back from now and again. But I would say check your local grocery store and see if this is something that exists at your local store, because I didn't even know this was a thing. Oh, yes. I just did a search on Walmart.com, and they do have it. It's a limited edition for $1.76 at our local Walmart.
Oh my gosh. I always laugh because I was a marketing major in college, and I am totally the target market, and I know I am getting marketed into this stuff, but anything seasonal, anything shaped. I also just Googled it. It's at 3 stores within, 2 miles of my house. So I can tell you, as soon as we're done with this, I will be heading to the grocery store.
And you'll have to report back on how it was.
I can't wait.
The thing that I looked at that I thought maybe was the heart-shaped pasta, but was not, was at Cafe Daisy, there's a heart-shaped ravioli, which is deep-fried 5-cheese ravioli with spicy marinara. These look... The coating on it looks so good, like there'd be so much flavor. Ugh.
I obviously haven't had the ones at Disneyland, but there are very few things in life that are better than a pasta stuffed with cheese that are breaded and deep fried. So if you love raviolis, generally these are really, really good. And again, in a cute heart shape.
Yeah.
They also have the Tunnel of Love donuts, which are strawberry sugared streusel mini donuts topped with strawberry whipped cream.
So these look like those mini donuts that you'd get, at any mini donut place, at a fairgrounds or something like that, with this wonderful strawberry whipped cream. They look really good. I'm a sucker for mini donuts. I would totally eat these.
Could be good at night too when it's a little bit cooler, especially this time of year. If they're serving them nice and hot, that could be a yummy treat to try out.
At Tiana's Palace, they have a Valentine prefix meal, including Cajun shrimp mac and cheese, which is the new part of this. That also looks good.
I know. And in this picture too, I'm curious, both at Alien Pizza Planet and then Tiana's Palace, they just say it's the prefix menu. I didn't see what the prefix menu was anywhere. I'm sure that will come out tonight on social media. But if it's based off these photos, it looks like it could be a salad and then maybe like a gumbo or a soup type of thing in the background. But yes, these prawns look very well seasoned and cooked. And then we've got some delicious gooey mac and cheese on bottom. The Galactic Grill, this would also be very high on my list, has a strawberry passion fruit lemonade, which is passion fruit infused lemonade with strawberry syrup garnished with fresh passion fruit and strawberries. Sounds delicious, sounds refreshing, would be on my list. No questions asked.
All of these things, I'm telling you. Yeah, this drink, vibrant. These are the type of drinks that, you eat with your eyes, right? This is definitely an eat with your eyes. Mm-hmm. At Red Rose Tavern, there's a red velvet gray stuff, which is red shortbread cookie with velvet red cake, raspberry cookies and cream mousse, and heart sprinkles. This is I don't know. I just want the gray stuff. They always have to do it up with other stuff. Why?
This one is cute though. So it's got this really bright red shortbread cookie on the bottom. That's the base layer. And then it's swirled with the gray stuff. And then it's got some heart sprinkles. They're like red hearts, white hearts. And then they've got just like a little bit longer pink and red sprinkles. I love cookies and cream. That is like my go-to flavor always. Tag, I know you love cookies and cream too. And then raspberry and chocolate, in my opinion, is an extremely underrated combination. So Oreo with raspberry, I'm all in on this.
It does sound good. I just want a plain gray stuff. I don't want a stuffed gray stuff. I don't need it on a cookie. Just give me a bowl with the gray stuff in it, and I'll be happy. At the Tropical Hideaway, there is a strawberry shortcake sundae, which is a Dole Whip strawberry with fresh diced strawberries topped with shortcake pieces and strawberry drizzle. Also looks delectable.
I know they had this last year, too, and this was a huge hit. In general, I just love that the Tropical Hideaway is mixing it up. I'm a huge fan of an original Dole Whip and Dole Whip float, but I love the seasonal items that they bring in too. And then at Gibson Girl, we've got a chocolate covered strawberry sundae, which is chocolate and strawberry ice creams, hot fudge, strawberry sauce, whipped cream, and a chocolate covered strawberry in a strawberry and brownie dusted waffle bowl.
That is a lot of strawberry. Just a lot of strawberry. Strawberry. At the Hungry Bear Barbecue Jamboree, there's a hot honey and cinnamon sugar funnel cake fries topped with hot honey and cinnamon sugar, which also sounds amazing.
And then at the Carnation Cafe, we have a salted chocolate tart, which is layers of chocolate cake, salted caramel and chocolate ganache in a chocolate tart shell, topped with a fleur de sal, bronze sprinkles, and red colored chocolate Mickey decoration. So obviously, this is not a visual podcast, but it's a chocolate tart. It's got some white ganache, or there's some sort of white drizzle on top with some sprinkles, and then this red Mickey cutout. So another really cute item. This sounds very, very rich, but if you love chocolate and a chocolate tart, this might be a hit for you.
I am looking, because where did we say it was? Tiana's Palace had the special dining, right?
Yep, Tiana's Palace and then Alien Pizza Planet.
Okay, so the Valentine prefix meal in the Disneyland app, because I was like, wait a minute, I could probably just look at the app, includes a choice of gumbo or muffaletta salad and an entree. And then there's also a Me and You Bay beignets, which is a pair of heart-shaped beignets dusted with ube powdered sugar and drizzled with ube sauce.
Cute.
So that's cool. And then what was the other location that had a prefix menu?
Alien Pizza Planet.
Heading over there in the app real quick.
Did it say how much the price was on the prefix menu?
That is a great question. It did, but I didn't look at it. But I will let you know. So the prefix sampler at Alien Pizza Planet is $34.99. And it is described as a dining adventure starting with a petite Caesar salad, followed by a Barilla Love heart-shaped pasta with a short rib ragu, complemented with a berry hibiscus sweet tea and a Valentine-themed alien macaroon.
Oh, yum. That all sounds delicious. And for $35, that's not a bad price for an appetizer, drink, entree, and dessert.
All right, I went back. The prefix at Tiana's is $24.99.
Oh, that's a good price too.
Yeah.
I think the only downside of the prefix, and again, this is just choose your own adventure, but I know these are pretty limited nights and there's lots to see and there's lots of characters out. So personally, I would have a hard time rationalizing sitting down and eating these foods, but with how good they look and how delicious they probably are, I don't blame anybody for doing that.
I feel like you spend the whole night just trying to get all the food.
Yeah, for sure. That's trips in general, at least for me.
Yeah, that's true. It's true. Well, it is that time again for our friend Eric over at Concy Ears to catch us up on other Disney news.
Hello, everyone. This is Eric Johnson with Concy Ears, and welcome to the D180. While Teg and Teresa cover all things Disneyland in the D180, we take a spin around the rest of the Disney universe, and we do it in 180 seconds. Let's jump right in. We begin this week back in the shipyards of Meyer Werft in Papenburg, Germany. Yep, we're back there. With the Disney Treasure setting sail last month, it's time to talk about the next big thing, the Disney Destiny. The Destiny is themed after heroes and villains, a theme that is pretty exciting for quite a lot of Disney fans, especially those who are looking forward to the new Villains Land in the Magic Kingdom. The ship's exterior is complete as of a few days ago. That means we are set for a bunch of fun updates as the interior work continues. Let's head to Epcot, where the International Festival of the Arts is now underway. This celebration always wows all of the senses, moving beyond the visual arts into the realm for which Epcot is frequently known, food. Check out the many different options spread around the park. Each location features unique flavors, as you would expect, but they're also showcasing colors and innovative presentations you might not expect. From frozen cake pops to Tuscan poutine to sushi donuts, this festival has something for everyone to see and taste. And oh yeah, there are plenty of things to see at the park too. The International Festival of the Arts is one of the park's newer offerings, but it always delights. Disney artists have multiple installations around the park showing off their skills. There's a giant paint-by-number mural where you can get involved in the decorations as well. Local artists and Disney artists host kiosks around the area selling their original pieces for you to bring home. It's a great slice of Epcot, but this festival only lasts until February 24th this year. If you can't make it, don't worry. There are plenty of deals afoot. This summer, look for savings at Walt Disney World. Save up to 30% off rooms at most of Disney World's luxury and moderate resorts if you're staying up to 5 nights or longer. If you're not staying at that giant list of hotels, then you're still probably going to get 25% off of your room at the remaining hotels. Ask one of our planners to find out which is which. Shorter stays can still benefit too. If you are staying for at least 3 days, your family can enjoy a free dining plan option as well. Dining plan deals are a great way to enjoy the magic of a Disney trip without worrying about a food budget. If a trip to Hawaii is more your style, head to Aulani, Disney's resort and spa on Oahu, Hawaii. Stay for 5 nights or more and save 25% off of your stay. If you want to stick around for just 4 days, you can still get 20% off of your stay. I hope you enjoyed our quick spin around the rest of the Disney universe. If you would like to learn more about these Disney adventures or just have a few questions, please come on over. Visit the social media and websites of both DL Weekly and us, their official travel planners, concierges. We look forward to planning something special for you and yours. I'm Eric Johnson, and this has been your D180.
Thanks, Eric.
DL Weekly announces the boarding of the Trivia Express, non-stop star speeder service to the moon of Endor. All passengers, please prepare for immediate boarding.
Hello there, it's trivia time. Welcome to Trivia Land. How are you two doing?
I'm trying to think optimistically and think third time is a charm, and it's going to go great.
You keep coming back, and I feel like that's a good sign. So
True.
You know,
maybe against my
James,
will, but I'm here.
You and Vern, if you keep treating people like this, they're not going to want to go to Trivia Land, and we're going to have to replace it with something else.
Oh, don't start this with me just because I talked about maybe bulldozing Fantasyland on the hook. You're holding this over me, so
It was terrible.
Okay, well, I'm going to keep with my theming that I did last week. And so this is probably a place you're familiar with, but every question this week is about Main Street, USA. So, you walk it.
Olivia, how did you do last week with the moon as the theme for Lunar New Year?
Horrible. I did horribly, and I was so impressed you got Haley's comment. I never in a million years, but it was good. James did give good context clues, and you picked up on them. So I will give you both props to that, and maybe some credit for being married and understanding that between each other.
Okay. Well, we'll see. You walk it every time you're in the park. So maybe there's things you know. Maybe you know a bit of history, or maybe you can just get lucky with some of your guesses. But my first question for you is, where are the cannons that you can find around the flagpole on Main Street from?
I thought you were just going to ask, where are the cannons? And I was going to say, well, there's one across from the Walt Disney Story featuring great moments from Mr. Lincoln, which is what it's called now, but won't be called in a few months. And there's one sitting right there, but I have no idea.
I will give you a hint. I'm looking for a country.
France, with no explanation.
France with no explanation.
I will say Germany, because our exchange student who is from Germany would appreciate it.
Mm-hmm. That makes a lot of sense.
But all France, right. I think, might be the right answer.
But you're sticking to it?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Second question from listener Dave M. What existed on Main Street near the Magic Shop, a place that Walt himself visited regularly? It's no longer allowed in the park, but one thing still exists to indicate its former existence. What is this place I'm talking about? And what is the lone remaining relic?
I know the answer, Olivia.
Okay, I was going to say, I will give you a very vague not answer, and then I'm going to hitch my whatever to tags whatever. I remember, though, there was a trivia question about what was sold in the parks that is no longer sold in the parks. I just do not remember what the answer to that question was. So that's where I'm going to pass this to tag.
It's all right, because you're going to hitch your horse to my Native American smoking gentleman who is outside the smoke shop on Main Street, which has a counterpart, I think, outside the shooting gallery in Frontierland as well.
Excellent answer. I like to think of Trivia Land, but I'm here as a group effort. So if Tag got it right, I'm gonna jump into.
Hey, there is nothing wrong with embracing that one. So,
But what James is going to eventually say is it's going to be the Wizard of Bras shop, and somehow there's like Tilly, the mannequin in the box office of the Main Street Cinema, is wearing a bra from there, and that's what it is, and we're all going to be thrown off.
yeah, that's definitely what it is. Do you want to change your answer to that?
No.
Oh, okay. Just checking. So I want to play fair. Third question this week from listener Donna S. What year did the tobacco shop close at Disneyland? And bonus pride points for you if you can tell me what month, too.
Did you
not necessary.
just do this again? You did this last week, that you confirmed the answer to the previous question by adding it as part of the question in the next question.
How dare you accuse me of doing the same thing 2 weeks in a row?
When did it close? That's a great question.
I'm going December 1964 based off of instinct, and I was born in December.
I thought you were going to see.
I was going to say you are really young looking for 1964. I'm impressed.
1976, because why not?
Yep.
And we'll say October.
Very good. Okay.
I
got
just
those down.
pulled those things out of the air. I have no reasoning.
Will the Disney winds guide you correctly? Who knows? My last question for you, which I think Olivia pointed out well, that Trivia Land is an us thing, because this is a good collaborative question. The Disneyland app lists 13 shops on Main Streets, as in category shops. There's also several penny presses and collectible medallion things that are included in that list, but I'm not counting those. Can you name them?
Name the shops?
Yeah, name the Disneyland Main Street shops.
Okay. Well, if we enter the park,
walk through the stores
on the right tunnel, because that is the proper tunnel to walk through. Now, are you counting like the little gift shop stand thing that's right as you get through the tunnel? Because there's that like little new.
No,
it's not called the newsstand. Okay, huh?
That is not listed in the app. I will give you that one.
Perfect.
That one is definitely a good question.
Perfect. So you've got. Is it called Disney Anna? No. Disney. Oh, crap. Now you got to get. So
Yeah,
there's the Disney Gallery kind of Disney Anna thing that's in the Bank of Main Street next to Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln. Then there's the Mad Hatter shop, which is on the other side.
Yep.
Then there's that store that has the very plain building on the corner that's like 3 stores, and like Cruella de Vil was hanging out by the back there.
Filled with lots of clothing.
Yes, lots of clothing. Lots of clothing. And then there's the magic shop, because you walk through that to get to the music shop, which I think is just called the music shop. Or Disneyland Music.
This is how much you pay attention to the signs on the buildings. I love this.
No, because I don't walk in. I walk into one of these and I just walk through all of them. It's kind of like the Emporium, which I'll get to in a minute. We're gonna catch that on the way back around.
Olivia, you feel like you're just being dragged through the stores right now?
Here's my problem. I know like where things are and like vaguely what is in them. This is my problem with everything in Disneyland, is that I don't call anything by its actual name. So I can get there thematically of where we are, right? But also when I'm walking in, I mean, I am looking at the castle. I'm probably booking a lightning lane if not, but generally I'm looking at the castle, and so I know what's there, but I am not studying the buildings. When we used to do the Wednesday window question, I think I was 0 for 1,000 or however many there are.
Fair.
All right, so we got the music shop, and then there's the cinema, which isn't a shop, and then there's, I want to say it's the Market House, which is the Starbucks.
Yep. That's the one that I knew.
Yeah, and I think, because that's all Starbucks. That's a whole thing. And then there's Disney Clothiers, which is the one on the corner. I don't know if, I think it counts all the way to the back. I don't think there's like a separate store as you go down towards the lockers. But then you got Disney Clothiers, and then somewhere there's a Crystal Arts spot where they sell all the crystal stuff. There's the Portrait Studio, or the Silhouette Studio. And then there's the The holiday
one-
store.
Yes, it has all the
Plaza
ornaments
Point
in
Holiday
it.
Shop.
Oh, there we go.
Holy
Plaza
moly.
Point Holiday Shop.
Excellent job, Tag.
Yeah. And then I don't think there's anything, I don't think it's named anything further back there, even though, like, there's a lot of weird stuff that goes back there. There's not any shops that I'm aware of that are in the hub, because that's all, like, restaurants and stuff. And then on the other side, you've got Coke Corner, or Coke Corner, or Refreshment Corner, sorry, which is kind of annoying because behind it and wrapping around it is the Candy Palace, but it's also the Penny Arcade, which is kind of there somewhere too. And then you've got the New Century Timepieces, which is also could be the Futurosity shop, depending on what you're looking at. And then you've got the Emporium.
We have Gibson Girl in there, which is not
Gibson
really a shop,
Girl,
but-
yep. Gibson Girl ice cream, of course, yep. Also Carnation Cafe in there.
Only looking for shops, not.
I know, but we're going full. We're bonus.
Can we change the question? Because I might have a fighting chance on the food, not the merch.
All the flavors at Gibson Girl.
Totally.
Oh my
Honestly,
goodness.
even on that one, I could probably make a pretty good guess.
Remembering that for next time. I'm holding you to
Totally.
it.
Then
Here's
there's
my
the
other thing with the Main Street shops is what I actually love about them is you can go in one and then they're all connected, so you just keep walking. So I do think actually when I shop, I'm not like actively entering and exiting. I just go in the first entrance and then meander my way through, and then there are no signs on the inside that
That's
I'm aware of.
Penny Arcade is also one of the things along there. I don't know if you're counting that. I think that's part of Candy Palace, Penny Arcade, Crystal Palace. I don't know. It all kind of blends together there.
It's Big Palace.
And then I don't know if it's on the app or whatever, but as you go out of the park, past City Hall and the fire station and the bathrooms and the tour gardens, there is the Disneyland newsstand, which is that little shop right there on the right-hand side, which is a great place that, like, if you buy something in the park and have it held for you, usually they send it up to that location and you can pick those things up there.
Nice.
And that is what I got for you, James.
That's a good list. Anything to add, Olivia?
Yeah, what did I miss, Olivia?
Tag did a really great job, and good job, good job, Tag. That's what I have to add.
I could paint you a picture of, like, I could probably from memory draw the floor plan of both sides of Main Street from walking through the shops so much. You probably could too, Olivia. But what they're called from the outside, I don't know. Who knows? We'll see.
For some reason on Main Street, and maybe just because I don't like spend a lot of time just standing generally on Main Street, right? Like we're going to a land or something. They have all those little like alcoves where there's like bathrooms and lockers. For the life of me, I could walk probably Disneyland with my eyes closed and feel pretty confident I wouldn't trip. For some reason, those dang alcoves would like, some have lockers, some have bathrooms. I always have to look at the app. I don't know why.
Just got to be sure, you know?
The best bathrooms on Main Street, there's a bunch of bathrooms on Main Street. There's the ones that it's a tiny bathroom, but people don't notice it that much, is attached to the bank of Main Street right when you first get in. There's like along the train track, there's a small little walking path, and there's bathrooms back there. Then there's bathrooms, not by the lockers, but on the other side behind the Carnation Cafe, there's like a little set of bathrooms kind of hidden back there. Then, of course, there's the bathrooms that are by the City Hall, which are big bathrooms. Then there's bathrooms on the other side of the Plaza Inn, which is like the Tomorrowland / Main Street bathrooms. Those ones are always crazy busy. And then I want to say there's like a family bathroom in the first aid spot.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
I did tell James that I was hoping that he would quiz us on bathrooms sometime.
It's true. This came up today.
And so here I am talking about Disneyland bathrooms.
This is a total Disneyland nerd thing, but I've heard the best bathroom is the one in the Tiki Room waiting area. And
False.
I have never, really?
False. People say this. That is not false. But the one time I used it, it had not been cleaned and it stunk so bad. And everybody kind of knew it was there by this point, and it was very, very busy. So I don't think that's the case.
See, I feel like I heard it's the Alice in Wonderland bathrooms that are the good ones consistently. So,
see, those are the ones I feel like always have a line, but also because this is such an odd conversation, when you're leaving Fantasyland, there's between there, like, there's not, where's your next bathroom stop?
Coming out of Fantasyland?
Yeah, so if you're that's the thing, if you're walking past Fantasyland, you'd have to go either all the way back, like on your way to Galaxy's Edge, or you have to go all the way into Tomorrowland.
You either go all the way into Tomorrowland by the Autopia and the train station. That's actually a really good set of bathrooms. They're very large, and usually you don't have too much problems, at least in the men's room. If you were going behind you, you'd either go to, there's bathrooms back by the Fantasyland Theater across from Small World, or you hit the bathrooms that are on the other side of Pinocchio's Village House in Fantasyland that's across from like the pickle cart. Those ones are small, but never seem like they're too bad.
Okay. Yeah, I always just think like in that area, and maybe also because there's a lot of little kids in that area, right? I'm thinking if you have a little kid who really has to use the bathroom, you're not going to make it from Alice to Tomorrowland or back to the like theater. You're going to go right there. So at least in the women's line, I feel like those ones are.
Some of the smallest bathrooms are the ones right outside of Rancho Zocalo in that like little area. And I don't think I've ever not seen a line for the women's room there. And the men's room only has like a couple stalls and a couple urinals, and it's always really crowded.
Well, that area in general, I mean, if the Big Thunder line spills out like it's long, I mean, Rancho is a great restaurant, but again, one that the line generally tends to be long. So I feel like there's a lot of general congestion in that area too, which doesn't help.
And the other nearest bathrooms there are you either go to Adventureland, which also is full, or you have to go all the way to New Orleans Square to those bathrooms, which are also like some of the busiest bathrooms in the whole park.
Yeah. You would think by a Mexican restaurant, they would have some more bathrooms.
But a ching. All right, James, take us
just a reminder
land.
For listeners. The question was, the Disneyland app has 13 shops on Main Street. I'm not looking for food or bathrooms, so you can make it your own trivia question if you want. But yeah, so now that we've gone off script, listeners, please come up with your own list of the 13 shops that you find on Main Street, and then come back with a complete list, preferably bathroom and food free, after our discussion topic.
Well, this week for our discussion topic, we are continuing our discussion with Ken Bruce, who is a 2-time Emmy Award-winning animator and author of Before the Birds Sang Words. But not only that, did a lot of cool stuff with some animation we're going to talk about this week.
Heck yeah. So let's just kind of start off with Disneyland, and Disney movies kind of sparked your desire for animation and to kind of get into the field. How did you actually start your career in animation?
By going to art school, specifically going to the California Institute of the Arts in Valencia, California, which was by 1975 happy to have its own sort of character animation department. And that was where you had to go. Like if you wanted to get into animation, that's where you went. Now, when I went, and when we all did, it was a smaller group of people. And none of us really thought that there was much opportunity in the animation field. Like there wasn't a lot going on in animation. I think that the Secret of NIMH, which was not a Disney film, was out, and that was what we were all aspiring to, is like that classic animation. Fox and the Hound had come out when I was younger. That dates me. And there wasn't a lot going on in animation, but we didn't care. We had to learn how to animate, and we had to, be a part of this. And luckily, after we graduated, that's when the animation renaissance happened. TV, it was Simpsons and Little Mermaid, and before that, it was Great Mouse Detectives. They were training a lot of people. The old guard of Disney Studios were handing it off to the new guard, and voila, Little Mermaid was a hit. And boy, did that launch a lot of people's careers. And I just sort of rode some of that wave. I worked on The Simpsons for a while, and Fern Gully, and saw, the birth of 3D animation. I did not work at Pixar till later, but I worked on Shrek and later Toy Story 3 and Up. And for TV, it was Fairly Odd Parents and Invader Zim and Ren and Stimpy, and currently Family Guy. I work on Family Guy. Many different hats, some of them story related, doing story work, and others sometimes directing, sometimes like I directed on Fairly Odd Parents. Sometimes animation direction, which is kind of what I'm doing now. We call it timing, but it really is directing the animation for overseas animators, like giving them absolutely no reason to be creative whatsoever. We spell everything out. Like we are basically animating with with a notepad.
Yeah.
When characters turn their heads and flap their arms and walk and camera moves and even telling them what mouth shape to make a character at a specific frame of film. I don't think they do film anymore. Yeah, so that's what I'm doing now. And it has been a absolutely great, fun career. And I love every minute of it. And then, And then weirdly, a side hobby. Oh my God, have you guys done escape rooms?
Yes.
So I thought that is the last thing of interest to me whatsoever. I don't think I'm good at puzzles. I don't think I can work well with others. I don't think I'm in the mood for something maybe popping out at me.
Yeah.
It's a scary room. I just thought no, but I kept hearing about them and hearing about them and hearing about them. And then I talked to a friend who did a lot of them and said, just give me one that's not scary, one that I think I might have fun. I did it with 2 or 3 friends, and this was years ago, and I was smitten. And long story short, I have done 400 plus.
Whoa.
Maybe 450.
Wow.
And I kind of want to get into that business. I'm thinking I'm going to do that.
There you go. He started with animation, then, became an author, wrote the book, and now, the next thing on the horizon is escape room architect.
Well, think about it. If it's getting sort of spearheading like the creation of an escape room or two.
Yeah. There's a story.
I get to tell a story, not much of one, guide people through an experience, albeit 1 hour, and create a themed space. I get to be like mini Walt. So I'm excited about that.
That's cool. That's super cool.
In our household, we love escape rooms. And so the ones that have the good like stories and like reasoning for doing the puzzles and stuff are the funnest ones, instead of just like, you're trapped in this room, you have to find the stuff to unlock these 3 things. Good luck. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I've got a whole philosophy about that. Like, you have to think simple. The premise has to be like one sentence and super gettable. You have to you have to have some surprises in there. Yeah, there's a whole kind of like, when you've done as many as I have, you start to see what works and what doesn't, what you love and what you don't love. I'd rather have 75 puzzles that were easy as opposed to 5 that were difficult, so that you're always kind of doing something and moving forward.
Sure, yeah.
That sort of thing. So anyway, that side note, whatever.
That's okay. It was a side quest.
Yeah.
So back to your career and some of the titles that you've worked on. There's a few of my favorites, that were non-Disney. Fern Gully, I probably wore my VHS out of Fern Gully. I don't know what it was specifically about it. Now, being an adult and learning who some of the voice actors were that were in that, Robin Williams, of course. He was batty. Did you watch it?
I don't think I've seen this in
have to watch it.
30 years.
It's so
funny,
good.
Because when I worked on it, I was like, wow, I'm working on the fairy film.
Yeah, Tim Curry was in it too.
The Simpsons. I worked on the first season of The Simpsons, and after the first season, we didn't know it was going to have 400 years of running and 6 billion episodes.
They're going to be telling the future through it.
Yeah, exactly. We sat around, I remember, with 2 or 3 colleagues, and I was like, okay, they just picked this up again. We just told all the stories we could possibly tell. We thought that. They can't possibly be thinking of more, like, where do you take this? Ridiculous to think that, but we did. And I moved over to Fern Gully, and because I wanted to work on a feature film. I hadn't done that. And, zero regrets, but I didn't know how, that film actually hit an entire generation of Teresa's.
Yes.
Because I don't stop. Yeah, it's like, wow, you worked on that? Yeah, I did. And I wish I had paid more attention to how important this thing was going to be to an entire generation. Yeah.
There's a couple of films like that. I think, like, for Disney, I think The Black Cauldron's one of those too, that there was an entire generation that was, just
like
couldn't get it. Yes. Oh, yeah. And now people that worked on it are just kind of like,
surprised.
Really? Because it was kind of, it's a little chaotic.
If you want to add another excitement for yourself, another movie that you worked on, Teresa themed her entire wedding after, which is Up.
Mm-hmm.
Oh dear. There you go. Yeah.
So
I did.
Hopefully your spouse will not Well, we'll live a good long life.
Yeah. No, so like we just did simple
and
things.
or you.
Yeah, we did simple things for our card box. We made our own version of the mailbox and stuff like that. It's just a very sweet movie.
But also, like, for me, Shrek was a big deal. Like, I worked at a movie theater when that came out. It was one of my first, like, longer-term jobs, and that was an amazing movie. That thing had legs. I felt like people were going and seeing that forever, it felt like.
Yeah, yeah. The story I tell about Shrek was, we do story reels. We put together the film, and we had a first story reel. This sort of goes along with just life in general. And it was what it was. It had a lot of energy. And, you know, I loved that was probably the most fun I had in my career was, you know, working on the story with 4 or 5 other nutballs. And we just laughed all the time. And I do feel like the fun we had made it into the film. But the first story reel we did, which again is the movie, but in storyboard form, it's like a quickly moving comic. It's just a comic strip, but with the voices. Well, that was shown. And then you make notes and you dick with it, and you make notes and you dick with it. And we did this over a period of a year. I feel like it was even longer, like 2 years. And it went through so many different directors. And then by the end, it had Vicky Jensen and Andrew Adamson, and they were brand new, and they had just come in, and they came up with this wackadoodle idea as they entered a good year into production of the story, at least, and said after a later screening that was just a mess, like the latest screening of the movie was a nightmare. It made no sense. It wasn't, you couldn't root for any, it was awful. But they're like, for the fun of it, can we just watch the very first reel? They hadn't seen it. And they watched it, and they were seeing it for the first time. We had worked on it a long time ago. And they turned to each other later and said, and to Jeffrey Katzenberg, and said, why don't you just do that? What's wrong with that? What's wrong? That's your, and that was a lesson about like kind of work, like beating something to death, like that which makes you laugh the first time. When you see it 100 times, you're like, that's not funny, and then you end up cutting it. But the bigger issue is sometimes is that idea of your first gut feeling about something is often the best. Emperor's New Groove was made in record time, and it doesn't feel that way. It feels like a really fun, rollicking, solid movie.
Yeah.
It's got an awful, awful title. But it's those underdogs that don't get overthought. Lion King, an amazing movie, but that was the movie that had to get out fast. That was the B team. The A team was Pocahontas. Everybody wanted to work on Pocahontas. That's where all the A stars were, the animators and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But Pocahontas, it's pretty, but it's a bit of a mess. Lion King, that's the one that was rushed, that a B team that's had something to prove. Toy Story, that was just a renegade group of nutballs who were doing their first film, but who had something to prove. Anyway, it happened on Shrek. I watched it happen on Shrek, where like, you know, you tend to overwork the heart and soul out of something sometimes when you're given the chance.
Key takeaway, just keep it simple.
Yeah, just keep it simple.
Yeah, that idea of know when to take the pens and pencils away from your kid as they're drawing. It's like, stop there. You're not going to make it any better. That's perfect.
The fun thing with Shrek is there's just so many different layers to it. There's so many different jokes. There's so many different quotable lines. There's also just so many creative, like, things. Like, I'm thinking, what is it? They blew up frogs or toads to make them into balloons at one point. Like, there's just it's very creative and very fun that way.
Yeah, well, Shrek was trying to, not make fun of, but play with the Disney sensibility, the fairy tale sensibility, to turn it on its head. Yeah, that was very much the intention. Yeah,
people love that though, because
and we had fun.
I went and saw Enchanted, which is it's a movie that's supposed to make fun of all the because believe it or not, unfortunately, I guess there's a lot of cynicism nowadays with like happy ever after story kind of things. And so making fun of those things that we've enjoyed so much as kids, I feel like people have really gotten a lot of enjoyment out of like kind of kicking fun at it in a way. Ralph Breaks the Internet did that too with all the princesses like getting at each other. So it's just kind of
It's funny because, and Teresa, you might fight me on this, but we've seen some empowered women in fairy tales, and we're going to get another very empowered woman in Snow White. And it's not even a gender thing. It's more like the idea of like, it's why not see a prince who isn't valiant, who is a bit of an idiot, and why not see a princess who is actually kind of like a girly girl? Celebrate the girly girl in her. Maybe she doesn't want to like fight maybe she doesn't have to save the day with a knife or a sword at the end. I like that's okay.
Well, and even princes when was the last time we saw a prince do something more than try and get the girl?
Yeah.
Yeah. Why can't the prince get the guy?
Mm-hmm. Or just go on an adventure.
Or why
or just go on an adventure.
Yeah. I'm one of these people, like James and I were watching some show today, and they had not had a lot of romance in it. And all of a sudden these two characters in it like started kissing, and I'm like, they've brought romance into it. Like they didn't need to. There's no reason to put romance into this.
Yeah. Is it organic? We fight that all the time. Like make sure it feels like one idea kind of flows into the other.
Right.
But yeah, why not a damsel in distress once in a while? Like it's okay. Whatever. Like, but it is this fear of like we can't do that. We can't do the damsel in distress anymore ever. God.
Yeah.
Right.
I feel like with anything, as long as it's not the same thing done to death, it's fine.
Yeah.
Well, and for God's sakes, I'm sure you've experienced this in the industry that you work in for sure. Luckily, looking at your list, you haven't done too many of these yourself, but just the sequels of everything.
There's a lot.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Don't get me started. Here we go. Yeah, it's awful. Someone came up with the bright idea of let's take every Disney animated film and turn it into something live action. It worked the first time. I think Cinderella was fun, and then it just became rote and sad and creatively bankrupt. But you gotta make money too. And if they found something that is a surefire, of course they kind of have to do it.
Yep.
I worked on I've told this story before. Worked on Toy Story 3, and we treated Toy Story 3 as the Return of the King. This was the end of the Toy Story. There is no doubt about it. And we were still, I think we'd just been purchased by Disney, or we're in the process of being purchased by Disney. Pixar was. So we were working on, again, Toy Story 3 as its emotional resonance is based on the fact that this is the closing of the book.
Yeah.
There was no aspiration whatsoever to do any more. So it was at the premiere. The Disney suits were there. They loved the film because it's a movie to be loved. And it had immediately decided, well, absolutely, you're doing a Toy Story 4 and a 5 and a 6. And we were kind of crestfallen. Because, again, this is not what we wanted.
Right.
There's something, when you walk into a theater and you go, this is the end of the story, it really helps the emotional energy of the movie.
Well, and it wrapped it up so nicely. So then when
that was precisely what we wanted. Yeah,
it was the perfect. I mean, it was a literal handoff, even because you had Andy kind of outgrowing his toys and
it was the perfect wrap up of the whole thing.
Yeah. So then when they went on an adventure, the next one, I was like, okay, well, surely this is the end because now they're free. And now,
no,
the end.
There's another one.
There's more. So it's, which makes it kind of always is sad because then I feel like it kind of takes something that was great and then maybe is making people shy away from it and maybe not be toys. For this example, maybe you're not as much of a Toy Story fan anymore because you feel like the story's been drawn out too much now, and so now it's not as magical.
You could argue the same thing with the Marvel and Star Wars stuff. Probably. The Star Wars stuff. It's like we miss Star Wars world, and then it became there's too much of it.
All over.
It's everywhere all at once, and it doesn't feel special anymore.
Yeah.
There's that anticipation, that thing we do on a roller coaster. Part of the fun is that first ride up that hill, that anticipation of something. And that's what made the Lord of the Rings movies. I got to wait a year and it's going to be over. And when it's over, it's over. Yeah. So, God, I remember the cycle, the long time you had to wait between, one Disney animated film and the next. It was forever.
Yeah.
So when it did come out, it was like, yay!
Yeah.
Not to mention the Disney Vault, too. When you couldn't.
Thing. I was just going to say, in the time between theater and then VHS release or home release was also much, much longer. Now it's
very short.
Yeah, it's very short.
Yeah.
Real quick about Star Wars is people complained that they were tired of being in the Skywalker saga or whatever, so they finally made a show that wasn't in that time frame, which was The Acolyte, and then nobody watched it, so they canceled it. And I'm the fans
did they? I don't even pay attention.
Yeah, the fans screamed out to have something different, and then they gave them something different, and then people were like, nope, not going to watch it. And so Disney's like, well, I guess we're canceling it, which kind of sucked because it was very mid storyline at the end of the season, which is unfortunate. But anyway.
Yeah, and that's the sad thing about our sort of art and commerce these days too, is, as a fan of both Steve Jobs and Walt Disney, who have a lot in common, the idea of we are going to tell you what is cool. You're not going to tell us. We're gonna get ahead of the curve. Walt wasn't that. Walt was all about the next cool thing. So the idea, Teg, of what you were saying of give them what they want, you're going to fail. You can't. That's trying to be relevant. There's that idea of that new Lego movie, Piece by Piece. There's a quote in it. I should have written it down, but it basically was, when you chase after relevance, you're going to fail. You're going to end up being creatively bankrupt because it's a losing battle. You have to throw people something new. Where is our next big franchise? Where's our next Star Wars? Our next utterly new, original idea that's going to launch a new world? It's all chasing after, Harry Potter. That helped. And I swear we're going to be seeing at some Universal Park. I suppose this is good. A whole Wicked World.
Oh yeah.
They're going to build that land. They're already working on it. I promise you. What's my point? My point is just how executives, money people, they're chasing after relevance.
Yeah.
And that isn't always a good plan. You have to take risks. And that's a lot tougher, but can end up being so much more worthy.
Mm-hmm. And it's okay because the theme parks make enough money that it covers all the terrible studio decisions, at least in Disney's case, it seems like.
When was the last time we actually saw an attraction that wasn't tied to IP?
Yes,
well, that's
true.
a whole,
Well, they just rethemed the Swiss Family Robinson treehouse.
Sure.
But that's tied to an IP, though.
That is good. That is very, very good. The something
loosely
manor,
tied to an IP.
Or, blah blah blah. What's the blah 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 manor in Shanghai?
Oh, Phantom.
Not Phantom Manor.
Mystic Manor.
Mystic Manor. That is not tied to IP. I love it.
Yeah.
It is its own new, fun, brand new thing, and I'm so glad the people of I guess Hong Kong who wanted their own original haunted mansion on their own kind of aesthetic. But I love the fact that it is utterly brand new, and I love those characters, and it's gettable and completely original.
Yeah,
Disney should do more of that. Then maybe that's their next thing, right? They make a great attraction. It's not a part of a thing, and then maybe they make a movie out of it because that's what they did with Pirates and Haunted Mansion and all of that.
Yeah.
Well, it was easier when Walt was there because Walt was Walt's park, so he could do anything he wanted, and that's what he wanted to do, something completely new, and that's all he did. And we don't really have anybody in the Imagineering world who is that powerful a leader. For a little while, it was John Lasseter. He came in there and I want this, I want that, and he kind of got what he wanted.
We got Cars Land,
which is amazing.
Yeah,
which still is IP, but it's pretty great. But yeah, I miss originality.
So talking back about Pixar, working at Pixar is obviously a little bit different than the hand-drawn animation that you kind of were inspired by. So what were the things that you did at Pixar
Oh, yeah.
I was in the story department for Up and Toy Story 3, so I was doing old school sketches for the films. Just there for 2 years, but I loved every minute. I am personally better at kind of the early stages of a film where you're just tossing around ideas, but then when it gets to actually the nuts and bolts of doing what we call kind of continuity storyboards, I'm not that great. I struggle a bit there, but those early days of a film, and both times I was there, for where you're just coming up with gags and ideas, those are so much fun. Those are fun.
So like,
so that's what I did. Yeah.
That was, obviously an original. Toy Story was just kind of building off of another world. Same story.
Yeah.
How does an idea like Up start? To then...
You will have to ask. Probably it came from Pete Docter, and I think Pete Docter wanted to do a film that was a little bit more in the tone and spirit of, say, a Miyazaki film where,
sure.
things like a house could be flying one moment, and then, you're on a dirigible, like just that sort of didn't see that coming, bigger than life whimsy, not so wed to the sort of ABC storytelling structure that Western audiences are familiar with, and mixing it up a little bit with maybe sort of Eastern sensibility, which was less structure and more kind of just a journey. So it started with Pete, and he just had pieces, and then he kind of semi-reverse engineered a story into that so organically that it works. You wouldn't even know. But he started with a tone. He wanted a tone, and then built around it.
Wow.
And it's a wholly original film.
Mm-hmm.
And his other, Inside Out was very much the same way, starting with a kind of a core idea. And, that idea of like what if, a question, what if you could, what if, there were characters that were kind of controlling your emotion. And what if we did explore, a young girl who, was moving, kind of a traumatic experience for a kid, moving from one place to another. So, that's what you start with. And then you just build and build and build.
It's one of the things I really love about Pixar is it feels like there's a lot more original ideas and stories coming out, and they're all they just keep getting more and more beautiful, like visually and just story-wise. They always pull the heartstrings. But I just really, I remember the first time watching like Finding Nemo and seeing all of like the water animated and all of the like anemones and all that stuff like drifting back and forth, and it's just like somebody made this. This isn't just like they filmed this happening in real life. No, they created this world.
And these are all films based on core ideas. I know with Nemo and Andrew Stanton, it was that idea of he was a young father, and that idea of you wanting to protect your kid at all costs, but knowing that, but also coming to the realization that, oh my God, am I taking this too far? Am I becoming a helicopter parent? Am I become a parent? Am I doing damage by being ultimately someone who does not want to see any harm come to my child? And so he was exploring that idea. And, so many of the Pixar films start from that kind of emotional core. I talk about Toy Story 1, 2, and 3. Toy Story 1 is a straight out buddy movie where two characters who hate each other learn to respect each other. Toy Story 2 is about existentialism. What's our reason to be on this planet? What's our purpose in life? These are heavy subjects.
Yeah.
But explored in with simple kind of gettable characters. Toy Story 3 is about death.
Yeah.
It's about death. Yeah. And everything about it, when it all ends, what comes next.
Yeah.
And on and on and on. That goes all the way back to the people who put Pixar together, John Lasseter and pals, were big fans of the kind of old school Disney films, which often had giant emotional cores, which things like Dumbo, loss of parent, being misunderstood, big subjects that are somehow more powerful in ways when you explore them through the medium of animation or sort of fairy tales. They're big ideas, but distilled into a gettable framework.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what fairy tales have always been, right? Is like kind of they're trying to entertain, but also teach a lesson, which going back to Walt Disney, I mean, like that's what the park has been like too, is that you want to entertain everybody, but you also want to teach them something kind of in a way. You want to make it so like they don't realize it, but they kind of learned something today. You know, it's kind of cool.
Yeah. Well, it was all about like, no, you have to go for the tier and go all out. You can't shy away from that. There's power. These are powerful lessons to learn in the safety of a movie theater or in their living room. Yeah, and to not shy away from that at all. There's a big debate during the making of Lion King about like, wait, he's actually cuddling up. We have a son cuddling up to the corpse of his father.
Yeah.
And there was a big debate about, we can't do that. The directors were like, we have to.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody made a big deal about it. It was very powerful.
Mm-hmm. Very
powerful. Yeah.
Scene.
Well, yeah.
Plus, then with Pixar, you have all the fun of the shorts too.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Well, we can wrap it up there because you've got to go
to the airport
to get to the airport. So we don't want to take up any more of your time. So we'll just wrap it up here if that's okay with you.
Well, I could easily go on for another hour, but if you want
always
me back,
have you back on. Yeah,
I can come back. I am happy to come back. I can yammer about this stuff forever.
Is there anything we didn't talk about with animation that you'd like to talk before we end it?
Oh, I mean, I've been in this business for ever and ever, so there's endless stories.
Sure.
And they're all great and fun. In a nutshell, I've loved every minute. The joy of my career is for me is not what I've done. It's the fact that I've been able to work with some amazing people, amazing talents that I will always remember. And to be in the presence of these amazingly talented people and see them come up with these things, to be in the room where it happened.
Yeah.
Delightful, like just great. Absolutely great. I love it. Yeah.
Amazing.
And lessons that you learn. Like I've said it before, and I say it again and again. I think people who are innately curious are the luckiest people in the world. And if you feel like you are not as curious as you could be, it is something that you can harness by slowing down and understanding that everything around you has a story. Like you're in front of a desk and that desk is pretty banal. But if you actually dove into where did that wood come from, or how was it processed, or who put this together, and everything around us is a mystery and a wonder. A walk through a forest. Take time out to be curious, to show awe, to dig in a little deeper. When you walk through a museum, don't think about the coffee cart that you want to get to. Slow down. You don't have to take it all in, but take in something for a while. Sit in front of something and dig in. Read about it. Pick up a book. Be curious. If you remain curious, you will never be bored, and life will be nothing but a mystery unraveled and something joyful. And certainly the animation career allows for that sense of curiosity and rewards it, because we're building stories. So if you're doing a story that takes place in Paris, dig into Paris, dig into history, and it's all interesting. It's all interesting. You may not, I don't think I'm not. That's not it. Like people are like, no, don't be open to learning. I had to, there were some journeys during the making of the writing of my book where I'm like, doesn't seem like something I'd be interested in, but I got to do the research. That quickly flips, and you quickly realize this is great stuff. Oh my God. Things like the connections between the creation of cigarettes and magnetic tape, or stories of Bing Crosby and magnetic tape.
Wow.
And
yeah.
Where it's just like, what? Like, holy cow. So, yeah, I don't know that I got off that, but that's been the joy of animation, is cultivating curiosity and bringing it into your own life, finding out what you love and then just eating it up. which apparently you guys have, judging by the shelf of crazy goodness behind you.
Yes. Yes.
All right. Well, this will be an interesting one, I think. The last question we ask everybody, if you could work at Disneyland, what would you do? Sky's the limit. Could be any job, even one that you've made up. I'm going to guess maybe work at the Tiki Room. No, I don't know.
Well, yes. No. Give me a desk and put me in the basement of the Tiki Room.
There you go.
I'm happy. If I'm alone, that's fine. I'm going to sit there and I can do some figure finishing myself and get because they have 2 or 3 replacement birds for each of them, and they're always rotating them. I'll clean them up. I'll put me down there, little desk, and I'll be happy down there to ultimately, what's the job? To make sure the Tiki Room is in tip-top shape at all times. That's it. There we go.
The official caretaker.
The Tiki Room caretaker.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I love it. Well, Ken, thank you so much for spending some time chatting with us about not only your career in animation, but of course about the Tiki Room and your book, Before the Birds Sang Words. We had so much fun, and I was already excited about the book, and now I'm like wishing it was in my house so I could start reading it now.
You will love it.
I'm sure I will.
Like, okay, I'm on. Thank you, both of you.
Make sure that if you're listening, go to tikiroom63.com. You can get links to buy the book and follow social media and everything from there. And it's definitely something that we will be getting a hold of very soon here.
Yay! Thank you guys so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, if you enjoy listening to the show, please consider rating and reviewing the show in your podcast app of choice. It helps Disney fans become weekly tiers and part of the community.
Looks like we're coming in for a landing, gang. But please stay listening until trivia comes to a stop. And then you can walk to the nearest exit. Thanks for listening to the 8th wonder of the world, DLWeekly.
Welcome back to Bathroom Land. Oh, sorry.
No. We do have very nice bathrooms. Arguably the nicest bathrooms in the park here in Trivia Land. Just saying. It's another perk.
Is it because you have to answer a question before you can use them? Is it like you have to have a secret word or password to get in?
Ooh, that could be good. We might have to install that. So we'll put it up to the group. But you all already answered some questions, and we're going to go and look and see how you did. Question number 1 this week, I wanted to know if you knew where the cannons around the flagpole on Main Street originated from. And they are, in fact, French cannons. A point for Olivia.
That might be my first actually correct non-helped Trivia Land answer, so this is a big moment for me right now.
As is a tradition. Good job, Olivia.
Thank you.
Should we just stop now? One for Olivia, none for Tag, and feel good?
Mic drop, walk away.
No, we got to get to the bathrooms.
Right. Okay. Yeah, those cannons never actually fired from the 1800s. Nice little touch, like a lot of parks around in city squares around the U.S. to honor soldiers and whatnot. So great design thought on that one. Second question was from listener Dave M. What existed on Main Street near the Magic Shop, a place that Walt himself visited regularly? It's no longer allowed in the park, but one thing still exists to indicate its former existence. What is the place, and what is the lone remaining relic? Good wagon hitching, Olivia. The smoke shop or tobacco shop and the native statue outside. Those are the correct answers.
Good job, Tag.
Dave also wanted to share that Walt always bought his own cigarettes there and paid for them himself. He didn't want freebies just because he was Walt himself.
Aww.
So, pretty neat, even though those are all photoshopped out of pictures. Minor detail.
I mean,
Question
he did
3,
die of, I believe it was lung cancer, so, don't smoke, kids.
Mm-hmm. Question 3, you'd think Donna S. was inspired, or the two of them were in cahoots, because the question is, what year did the tobacco shop close at Disneyland? You both guessed really early. Really early.
Oh.
The tobacco shop did not close until June of 1990.
Wow.
So, yeah.
That's about when people stopped smoking or, started to, stop smoking a lot. Yeah.
So, yeah, there it goes. And then our final question. The Disneyland app lists 13 shops on Main Street. Not bathrooms, not food, not attractions.
Doesn't matter.
Shops.
This is the type of extras that we give you here at DL Weekly.
I can't help it. So there are penny presses, collectible medallion machines included in the list as well, but I ignored those because there's no way that you were going to remember, oh yeah, there's penny presses in 2 spots.
Teresa
So I asked you. I mean, that's probably true. But would she know that there are shops on the app? Probably. So I asked how many of them you could name to give it a go. The names that you gave me that are correct are Disneyana, the Mad Hatter, the Magic Shop, which is fully named the Main Street Magic Shop, the Music Shop, fully named the 20th Century Music Shop, the Disney Clothiers, Disney Clothiers Limited, or LTD, Crystal Arts, the Silhouette Studio, which you corrected yourself to, well done, Plaza Point, right at the end there, the Candy Palace, fully named Candy Palace and Candy Kitchen, and the Emporium.
That's
you
10.
That's 10. You did pretty good. I'm giving you a half point for the description back at the front end of that side of the 3 stores that are kind of all in one that have all these things, also known as the Disney Showcase.
Oh, yeah.
So you gave me a good enough.
That's the one on the corner, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's an awesome store. I think a lot of people miss it unless they go in to see Lincoln or because they just walk right past it. But I know they had an exhibit in there for the 100th with some really special photographs, and it's pretty fun in there.
I agree. The 2 you missed, New Century Jewelry and the China Closet. Futurosity, not listed as a shop, not listed with anything in the app that I could find.
Huh.
So
They probably just lump that into the Emporium, I guess.
yeah, probably.
Next time, I think this is going to be my new Trivia Land tradition. Last time we did We're in the Park, and I had no idea this path existed. So when I stood in line at Radiator Springs, I took a picture of it to prove to myself that it was real. And I think next time I'm going to walk down Main Street, take a picture of all the cool signs.
Okay.
Good.
Okay. Here it is, James. So, New Century Jewelry is in the app, but if you don't tap on the button for the shop, it clearly says Futurosity Shop.
Yep.
So that's where I'm probably getting that from.
Yep. I found that one interesting too. But that's
Disney.
what it is in the app.
Huh.
Learn something.
Oh yeah, because we named a bunch of we named a bunch of food locations. Yep.
Market House, Gibson Girl, Carnation.
I mean,
food.
you can
shop.
You can buy mugs in the Market House. Does that count?
That is a good argument. I'm glad I qualified. It's listed in the app.
You know what I don't understand? Why do they not have, like, the newsstand is on here? Like, you can buy stuff there. There's also the little shop that's this little, like, kiosk that's drawn on the map that is like a little shop. Why is that not listed? I just don't understand.
I'm guessing those maybe because they aren't like physical spaces you go into. I think the only exception they make for that is like the food carts.
Sure.
Because they have the limited stuff.
I'm curious, not that I'm going to do a deep dive on this, but maybe somebody will. If there are similar like types of shops that are or aren't listed on the app, my only thought is, right, people are really excited. They want to buy something for the day. When you think logistically and flow of people, those are 2 really bad spots to have shops because, like Tag said, there's no indoors. They just kind of like, if there was a big group of people, it would just block the tunnels. So I almost wonder if they are intentionally not in the app so that people just stumble upon them and kind of glance rather than like actively seek them out or go to the first shop that they know is there.
Whether or not that's true, that sounds like a good explanation.
I also want to use this moment to promote a little-known feature in the Disneyland app that I think is highly undervalued, and people probably don't even know it, is there is a search button in the Disneyland app, and one of the things that you can search for that's super nice is like water fountain or refill station or almost any type of thing you could think of that like isn't its own little thing on the map, and they will show you. So like if I just do a search for water, it will give me a list of all the different like water places and places you can get water in the app, which I think that's amazing. There's like drinking fountains, and then you can tap find on a map, and it has all of the drinking fountains marked on the map. So a lot of people, I think, don't think to use the search feature, but the search feature has some functionality that is not easily accessible, like in the menus.
Yeah, I have never used the search feature, clearly. But the other part too, it looks like you can even type in a food item that you want. Like I just put in coffee, and then it pulls up all of the places that serve coffee. So if you have something specific that you're looking for, that's a good way to do that too.
Yeah.
Nice.
I think if Disney were to run their analytics or whatever, I'll bet you that is not used as much as it should be used by people. Anyway, James, how do we get out of Trivia Land?
You don't. You stay forever. We have the best bathrooms. You're just locked in. But if people want to help you get out, I suppose it all comes down to them sending questions in, so that way you can answer the question right to exit. Because we're not stopping you from the bathroom, we're stopping you from leaving. Oh. So, that was a better idea. So, send your questions in, listeners, and then producer Vern and I can try to stump our hosts with these wonderful ideas that we have. Just visit our website, dlweekly.net/trivia.
Well, we will be back next week if we ever get out of the Trivia Land bathrooms with more Disneyland news and information.
Until then, go out and enjoy the parks.
And a special thank you to Sidel for editing the podcast.
Please remain seated until the podcast comes to a complete stop and the doors have opened. Then collect your belongings, watch your head, and step carefully from the episode. On behalf of all of our crew, thanks for traveling with us, and we hope you have a happy and memorable visit here at DL Weekly.